Okay, the next step in the build was to prepare the case, which by the way is the Corsair 760T. It's actually a pretty sweet case for the money. It was only like it was like 160, but they had a $20 mail-in rebate. This is the front of it. It actually comes with a concealer door for the seat if you use a CD drive bay. You just hit that open and it'll pop open for you. So I took off the front end just for ease of access and trying not to damage anything. Also, I'm leaving the plastic covers on the windows here for protection and trying to make sure I don't scratch anything. It's pretty easy to scratch this stuff. And then also what's really neat is as you can see here, it's a hinge door. It's actually a really cool feature. The actual back end of the back door as well has one. Obviously it doesn't have a window, which is good. It's just a solid back door, but it's also on the hinge. So what I had to do also, this case came with two hard drive racks. The other one was here. Basically it was just secured by 4 screws underneath. So I just had to remove one of them because I realized that the power supply going in wasn't going to have enough room for the cords that had to come out of it. I might actually remove the second one too eventually. I'm just going to see how it kind of plays out. We probably won't even need a hard drive rack in here. It's not a bad place to mount a little radiator too for the water cooling. Although I don't think I'm going to go with this one down here, but I'm probably going to go with one in the front and then one up top, which should be plenty. So for now I'm just going to install the power supply. You want to mount it with the fan down actually. It kind of seems weird, but that's the way it's designed. This case actually kind of neat. It has a pull-out dust filter underneath for the power supply intake. So I would recommend cleaning that, every couple weeks or so. So we're going to mount this in here. Reason I'm doing this, it is a lot easier to mount the power supply in here before you put the motherboard in. That way it's a little bit easier to run the cables behind the motherboard where you need them to go. So let me just swing around to the back. Obviously this is a pretty simple part, and you just secure it with the screws. Okay, just swing around to the back. I just kind of popped in the screws really quick part of the way just to show you. It would appear that one of these holes would be like a mounting hole, but on this particular model of power supply they have it lower. Some other ones might have the actual mounting hole inside that hole, but this one's just meant to squeeze up against the side of the chassis there. So we're just going to tighten these down real quick. Should be good. All tight. Okay, and that's that. Now I'm going to move around to the cables. Okay, so for this build, we have just 4 main cords we need to connect. The first one's the motherboard connector. This can be seen. Let me see if I get the light in a better spot here. There we go. Not too bad. So as you can see, just by looking at it, you can kind of figure out where each one goes. This one's actually just labeled for motherboard. So what we want to do is put them in the first 2 top slots. Okay. Now this will allow us to run it. Let's see, do we want to go through here? Let's try through here first, see if that works out. I have a feeling that might work out a little bit better, look a little bit cleaner. But this is all just temporary again. Obviously when I do the water cooling, I gotta take all this out again and redo it all. But it's just for testing everything on air. So that should be good. Let's go around to the back side here. So on the back side, usually the the motherboard power connector will be about halfway up the board. So I'm just going to put it through this one here for now. And we'll see how good that one comes out. It should be just about right for this one. Next is the CPU connector. This is for to power the actual CPU. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the CPU connector on this one. Let's see here. CPU 1 right underneath there. I don't know if you can see that. Sorry, kind of shitty. So I'm just going to connect it right through there. See how that goes. Just readjust the light here. Okay, so you have the one that's a split end. A lot of the older motherboards use like a 4-pin. Obviously the newer ones have an 8. So we're just going to pop this one in underneath. I could see it. Oh, that's too far over. There we go. Okay, that's secured. Now this one is normally at the top of the motherboard, so we are going to run this bad boy through the same slot here. Should have enough reach on here. Some of the bigger cases like mine over here, you need to get an extender for this cord. Sometimes they don't come quite long enough to reach behind. You'd have to just like have the cord go right in front of the motherboard, which is kind of ugly. So this one looks plenty long enough. We don't need to worry about that. Let's go to the back side here. So the motherboard's gonna come right up to this line or so. So these gaps can be used for cords, which is nice. So we're just gonna thread it through this last one here to get it ready. It should be good for now. And then these last two here are for the video card. And it seems like the 980 Ti requires one 8-pin and one 6-pin. So what we're going to do, we are going to hook the solid ends down on the power supply. These are the two solid ends. The other end here have just a you know, the variable, so you can use a 6 or an 8. So we use those ends for the graphics cards. So as you can see here, they're color coded, can't miss it. So we're just going to put those ones right in here. And these will have plenty of reach for the card, so we don't need to worry about that. Just going to put them right through here. It's actually a pretty nice power supply. It's got a nice beefy case to it. And it comes out pretty long here. So we can probably pretty much run all of them through the same grommet hole here. Just to make the run smaller. Just run this bad boy through. Oh yeah, that happens all the time. Sometimes the grommet will push through the hole as well. But we're good. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try to pick up the slack here. Get most of the slack through the hole so we can just hide it behind the motherboard. Just for appearance purposes. Okay, so we got those through. Oops, knocked down my magnet tray. Let me get that. Okay. So with this one, let's take a look here. These are all the cables that came obviously with the case that come pre-installed. Usually you're right around the top slot here, so we will feed these through the second grommet as well. Let's take a look. It should come out nicely for the graphics card. In the final build too, when I'm doing the water cooling, I'm actually probably going to use different cables that look a little bit nicer than this. You'll see what I mean when that occurs. Let's see what's getting snagged here. Okay. So it looks like we ran through one of these cables. So let's pull these out and do it over. So we do it right. Get these cables out of the way. Alrighty. Okay. We are good to go. Okay, we got all the cables ran. They're ready to go. Now we just got to put the motherboard in and connect them up.